What you're about to see is one of Judge Frank Caprio's most remembered cases. An 84-year-old homeless veteran appears in court after being charged with stealing a loaf of bread. But when Judge Caprio learns what this man has been carrying in his shopping cart for nearly 2 decades, the courtroom shifts in a way no one anticipated. This case has reached over 50 million views and has been featured by news outlets worldwide because of what unfolds. When the veteran shares his story, Judge Caprio responds in a way that sets a new example in his courtroom. Before we continue, less than 3% of viewers are subscribed. Stories like this are important and deserve to be shared widely. Consider subscribing so more people can hear moments that reflect compassion and understanding. Also, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. New York, London, Tokyo, Brazil. This story is meant to be heard everywhere. It's a cold November morning in Providence Municipal Court. Judge Caprio is presiding, unaware that he is about to encounter a case that will deeply test both empathy and fairness. The courtroom is full. Families, defendants, court staff, and even visitors who traveled specifically to observe Judge Caprio's approach. The atmosphere feels attentive, as if something important is on the verge of happening. At 10:15 a.m., the bailiff announces the final case of the morning, a standard shoplifting charge. But the case is far from ordinary. Through the courtroom doors walks 84-year-old Robert Bobby Martinez. The first thing people notice is not Bobby himself, but the cart he brings with him. An old, worn shopping cart covered with a green tarp, appearing to hold all personal belongings. Before we discuss what is inside that cart and the silence that follows, pause for a moment and share in the comments where you're watching from. Texas, Germany, wherever you are, Australia, the Philippines. This story deserves to be shared in every community. Bobby moves slowly, leaning on a hand-carved walking stick. He wears several layers, an old army jacket over sweaters, patched pants, and boots held together with tape. His appearance reflects years of hardship. Yet what Judge Caprio notices is his composure. Despite everything, Bobby removes his cap respectfully, stands as upright as he can, and looks the judge directly in the eye. Robert Anthony Martinez, the clerk announces. Bobby steps forward, one hand gripping his walking stick, the other resting protectively on his cart. Judge Caprio observes him with the same compassion he has shown for decades. There is something about this man that suggests a deeper story. Mr. Martinez, Judge Caprio begins, you're charged with shoplifting, specifically taking a loaf of bread valued at $2.89 from Tony's Market. How do you plead? Guilty, Your Honor, Bobby replies, his voice carrying the weight of many difficult years. I took the bread. I was hungry and had no money. Judge Caprio sets his pen down, signaling a shift from strict legal procedure to sincere concern. Mr. Martinez, can you tell the court your situation? Why were you unable to pay? Bobby glances around the courtroom, then back at the judge. Your Honor, I've been homeless for 6 years. I live on the streets and take whatever small jobs I can find, but at my age, it's not easy. Judge Caprio's expression softens. Mr. Martinez, may I ask your age? 84, Your Honor. Same as you, I believe. The judge pauses. 2 men born the same year, yet living completely different lives. One guiding the law, the other struggling to meet basic needs. We are indeed the same age. Mr. Martinez, Judge Caprio replies. Tell me, did you serve our country? Bobby adjusts his posture despite his age and weakness. Yes, Your Honor. United States Marine Corps, Vietnam, 1968 to 1970. 3 tours. Now the situation becomes fully understood. An 84-year-old homeless Marine veteran, the same age as the judge, standing in court for taking bread simply to stay alive. This is where Judge Caprio responds in the way many have come to recognize. He stands from his bench and steps closer, reducing the formality between judge and defendant. Mr. Martinez, Bobby, you served 3 tours in Vietnam? Yes, Your Honor. I was 20 when I first arrived in Da Nang. I believed it would be 1 tour and then home, but the deployments kept getting extended, and before I realized it, I had been there 3 years. During this conversation, Judge Caprio observes that Bobby never lets go of his shopping cart. His hand remains firmly on the handle, as if protecting something deeply important. Bobby, if you don't mind my asking, what's in the cart? The question shifts Bobby's expression immediately. His grip tightens, and for the first time since he entered, he appears uncomfortable. Your Honor, these are personal belongings. Nothing illegal, nothing stolen, just things that matter to me. With decades of experience understanding people, Judge Caprio recognizes there is more behind this cart than simple items. Bobby, would you feel all right showing me? I'm not asking as a judge at this moment, but as someone who genuinely wants to understand your life. Bobby looks around at the 50 or so people in the courtroom. His hands shake slightly as he thinks about the request. Your Honor, people may think I've lost my sense when they see what I carry. They might think the war changed me too much. Bobby, I have sat in this seat for 30 years. I have seen many things. I have never believed anyone is broken for caring deeply. Please show us what is meaningful to you. Bobby takes a slow breath and gently pulls back the green tarp covering the cart. The courtroom becomes still. Inside are hundreds of photographs. Letters, military papers, dog tags, Purple Heart medals, Bronze Star ribbons, and a carefully wrapped field journal. But what stands out is not just the items themselves, it's what they symbolize. Judge Caprio's eyes widen as Bobby carefully lifts the photographs. Bobby, are these? The judge asks. Yes, Your Honor, Bobby replies, his voice trembling slightly. Every Marine from my 3 units who never made it home. He pauses, steadying himself. I've carried their pictures, letters, and stories for over 50 years. The room becomes completely silent. Bobby begins displaying the photos. Faces of young men, many barely past high school, captured just before deployment. This is Lance Corporal Danny Reeves from Oklahoma, Bobby says, holding up a black and white picture. He was 19 when he died during the Tet Offensive. He used to show me photos of his girlfriend, Sarah, and talk about the farm they'd build when he came back. He holds up another photograph. This is Corporal Miguel Santos from New Mexico. He wanted to become a teacher after the war. He died saving 4 Marines during a mortar attack. His last words were, "Tell my mama I love her and I'm proud to be her son." Then another, Private First Class Kevin O'Brien from Boston. He was 18. He threw himself on a grenade to save our squad. Before he died, he gave me this letter for his parents. He told me, "Make sure they know I wasn't afraid. Tell them I died thinking about Sunday dinners at home." As Bobby speaks, many people in the courtroom begin to tear up. These are not souvenirs. His cart is a moving memorial. One man's effort to ensure his fallen brothers are never forgotten. Your Honor, Bobby continues, I know some look at me and see a homeless veteran pushing a cart filled with old belongings. But these men deserve to be remembered. Their families deserve to know that someone still carries their memory. Judge Caprio, deeply affected, asks quietly, Bobby, how many stories are you carrying? 382, Your Honor, Bobby answers. Every name, every face, every detail I could recall or find. I have their final letters, medals that were never delivered, personal items left behind in tragedy. I've been keeping these safe for half a century, but Bobby is not finished. He reaches into the cart and carefully removes a worn notebook wrapped in plastic, its edges frayed from years of use. This is their book, Your Honor. Every story I could, he began searching for every detail about their lives, their hopes, their final days, and their families. He has been writing in that book for 53 years, adding new information whenever he discovers it. Judge Caprio holds the book carefully, almost reverently, reading with clear respect in his expression. Bobby, this is remarkable. It may be the most complete memorial to these forgotten heroes I have ever seen. But then, something in the book makes him pause. Bobby, it says here that you've been locating the families of these Marines and returning their personal belongings. How many have you found? 216 families, Your Honor. Sometimes it takes years, sometimes decades. But I find them. I travel however I'm able. Hitchhiking, walking, taking buses when I can. If I have the funds, I return their son's last letter, a medal or a photograph he carried from home. I tell their families how courageous he was, how much his fellow Marines cared for him, and that he passed with honor. Judge Caprio understands. He is standing before someone who has spent over 50 years honoring the fallen and supporting their families, all while experiencing hardship himself. Bobby, you've been homeless for 6 years? Yes, sir. I lost my apartment when my VA disability benefits were interrupted due to a computer error. Since then, I've been living on the streets, but I always keep the cart with me. These men deserve to be remembered. Someone must make sure their sacrifices are not lost. Before continuing, it's important to reflect on what this represents. This is one of the clearest examples of service and remembrance you may ever witness. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, this is the moment. Stories like Bobby's show the true meaning of honor, and your support allows us to continue sharing them with others. What Judge Caprio does next becomes one of the most discussed moments to ever occur in a courtroom. Viewed millions of times across social media, he removes his judicial robe, steps down from the bench, walks toward Bobby, and does something that had never been seen before in an American courtroom. He kneels down in front of the shopping cart and carefully looks through each photograph, reading every story, treating Bob's cart with the respect one would show a military memorial. "Ladies and gentlemen," Judge Caprio says to the full courtroom, his voice steady with emotion, "you are witnessing something remarkable. This man has dedicated his entire adult life to remembering fallen heroes who are often forgotten by everyone except him." Judge Caprio then stands and speaks not only to those in the room, but as if speaking to the many who will later see this moment online. "Not only am I dismissing this shoplifting charge, but I am taking an action I have never taken in 30 years on this bench. Robert Martinez, I appoint you as an honorary guardian of military remembrance for this court and this community. Your commitment to preserving the memory of fallen Marines is among the most honorable and selfless efforts I have ever seen." The courtroom erupts in applause, but Judge Caprio motions for silence. He continues, "Effective immediately, I will personally ensure that Bobby receives proper housing and the support needed to continue his work. Through this court, the state of Rhode Island will provide him with a permanent residence and the resources required to honor these fallen heroes appropriately." Then, in a gesture rarely seen in a courtroom but clearly understood by everyone present, Judge Caprio takes out his personal phone and makes a call on the spot. "General Patterson, this is Judge Frank Caprio in Providence. I have someone here you need to meet. Someone who has been honoring fallen Marines for 53 years without recognition, support, or acknowledgement. Aside from the families he has quietly comforted. Can you be here within the hour?" Within 40 minutes, representatives from the Rhode Island National Guard, the Veterans Affairs Office, the Providence Mayor's Office, and the Commanding General of the Regional Marine Corps Reserve arrive in Judge Caprio's courtroom. They met Bobby and learned about his decades-long commitment to remembrance. But the most meaningful moment came when Judge Caprio made one final announcement that deeply moved the entire courtroom. "Bobby, I want you to listen to this, and I want everyone here, and everyone who will watch this to understand clearly. You are not homeless anymore. You are not forgotten. You are not alone, and neither are your 382 Marine brothers. Today, at this very moment, we honor all of you." What followed after this case became public led to a worldwide movement focused on remembrance, support for veterans, and renewed recognition of service. Within 6 hours of the video being posted, Bobby's story had reached 5 million views. Within 24 hours, it exceeded 25 million. Major news organizations from CNN to BBC and many others shared the story. The Veterans Affairs Office established the Robert Martinez Memorial Guard Fund to support homeless veterans and private remembrance projects. In the first month, more than $8 million was donated by individuals across the world who were inspired by Bobby's dedication. However, the most profound response came from the families of the Marines Bobby had honored. Within days, more than 300 family members reached out, hoping to meet the man who preserved their loved ones' memories for over 50 years. One of them was Sarah Hriss, now 73, who had once been the girlfriend of Lance Corporal Danny Reeves from Oklahoma. She traveled to Providence to meet Bobby. "Danny has been gone for 55 years, she said with tears, but Bobby ensured he was never forgotten. He shared things about Danny's final days that I never knew. It feels like I regained a part of my first love." Soon after, the Smithsonian Institution requested Bobby's notebooks and photographs for permanent display in the National Museum of American History. Both the Vietnam Veterans Memorial and the Marine Corps War Memorial invited him to take part in ceremonies honoring the fallen. Bobby was then provided with a 3-bedroom home so he could safely preserve his memorial collection. The extra rooms were turned into dedicated spaces for the 382 Marines he remembered, complete with display cases and lighting donated by supporters. Perhaps the most significant recognition occurred when Bobby's story reached President Biden. Having experienced personal loss, the president invited Bobby to the White House and described him as a living national treasure, someone whose dedication reflects the highest values of the nation and the Marine Corps motto, Semper Fidelis, always faithful. Bobby's reply was direct and heartfelt. Mr. President, I never wanted recognition. I only wanted to make sure my boys were remembered. Every Marine deserves to be honored. This case became Judge Frank Caprio's final act on the bench. Before his retirement, a meaningful conclusion to a career defined by empathy and understanding. Judge Caprio's family later explained that Bobby's case represented everything their father stood for, that every person deserves dignity, that serving others is a meaningful purpose, and that compassion has the power to shape the world. At Judge Caprio's retirement ceremony, Bobby Martinez was given a place of honor. He brought a photograph of Judge Caprio kneeling before the memorial cart and placed it among his keepsakes. Judge Caprio saved my life and honored my sons, Bobby said to the audience. Now he is part of the memorial as well because he demonstrated what genuine justice truly looks like. And now, I want to ask you something that Judge Caprio himself often asked others. Who in your life deserves acknowledgement for quietly helping others? Who are the overlooked heroes in your community? The individuals who make a difference every day without expecting recognition. Judge Frank Caprio spent 3 decades showing that compassion is a daily choice. Bobby Martinez spent 53 years proving that love, memory, and loyalty can endure even the hardest challenges. Share your hero stories in the comments, because Judge Caprio's legacy continues in every act of kindness and every choice to recognize the humanity in others, especially those society may ignore. If this story moved you, if Judge Caprio's compassion and Bobby's lifelong remembrance inspired you, share this video with someone who could use a reminder that everyday heroes exist all around us. Like this video if you believe in honoring veterans, supporting those in need, treating all people with dignity, and remembering those who sacrificed for our freedoms. Subscribe for more stories that continue Judge Frank Caprio's legacy, reminding us that compassion and decency will always be stronger than indifference and judgment. And remember Judge Caprio's final message to Bobby and to all of us. Justice is not only about enforcing the law,